Both you and Mr. 150,000 are spenders, both of you lack budgeting skills, and both of you have high debt. So what kind of life can you imagine having? What kinds of conflicts might arise because of that? Or how about if Mr. 150K is a spender, but you are a saver with great budgeting skills and no debt? You'll just show him how to save and budget, right? Not so fast. Hey everyone, my name is Melissa Rochelle and I'm a holistic wellness and relationship coach. So let's talk about why his values matter more than his income. But first, let's get some information out the way. Conscious dating is about intentionally and purposefully doing the work in order to have the happy and healthy relationship that you want. Conscious dating is training yourself to hack your biological drives and childhood programming in exchange for more joy and a healthier relationship. The word train tends to bother a lot of people, but think about it. If you have a pet, right, it has a biological drive to poop, but because you love your home and you value your home, you train your dog not to shit on your living room floor. Conscious dating, coaching, therapy, and personal development work are all about training yourself not to shit on your own life. And I'm usually not this vulgar, but I really wanted to drive this point home. Your parents and other caretakers were responsible for training you up until adulthood. Once you're an adult, though, it's your job to train yourself. So who taught you what a healthy and happy relationship looks like? Who taught you what a lasting marriage is and isn't? Who showed you what commitment looks like? That's basically the level of relationship knowledge that you're working with right now. This video has values and income in the title, but it's not only about values and income. It's about values, money, living together before marriage, and sex. So let's talk about it. But first, let me say this. There are so many channels on here that talk about dating, relationships, and marriage. But my question is, do you want to put one of the most important decisions of your life into the hands of the opinions of a random person? Most of the channels about men and women and relationships seem to be targeting entertaining you, not informing you. So keep that in mind as you watch a lot of the content out there and ask yourself, am I watching this solely for entertainment or for information? Some creators are great at teaching information in an entertaining way, but the majority of the ones I've seen seem to prefer to entertain you rather than inform you with practical, factual, research-backed information. Many of these channels are entertaining and they do it well. Just always remember to be mindful as to whether the intent is to entertain you or to arm you with practical information that can help you get the relationship that you desire. I use a lot of assessments in my relationship coaching practice, and the reason is because they are valid, they are researched, they are effective, and they show us where our blind spots are. One of the assessments I use is called the SYMBIS assessment, which stands for Saving Your Marriage Before It Starts. It's a personalized roadmap to making your marriage everything it was meant to be. It was designed by a married couple, Drs. Les and Leslie Parrott, who both have a background in family therapy and psychology. And they are New York Times bestselling authors, and they are also co-founders of eHarmony. And their assessment is backed by decades of research and data. So you think you'll just jump in and get married and just hope that it works out. And if it doesn't, you'll just find someone else. Good luck with that. Good luck with that strategy, because second marriages have a higher divorce rate than first marriages. This assessment shows couples how compatible they are in things like money methods, personalities, how they fight, how they communicate, how they love, and what they desire most in a partner. Here's a warning though. 15% of couples call off their engagement after taking this assessment. This is because this assessment shows you how many non-negotiables you have for your life that you might have to compromise or give up altogether in that relationship. The SYMBIS assessment isn't the only assessment on the market, but it's fantastic. It's designed for couples already in a relationship, but there are other valid assessments single people can take to get the same level of awareness about what they desire in a lifelong partner and what it really takes to have a happy and lasting relationship. But that's information for another video. So let's get the bad news out first. So I'm just going to go ahead and read to you exactly what the researchers themselves have to say about healthy relationships. When romantic love is mistaken for lasting love, we marry an idealized image of our partner. That person doesn't exist in real life. And in time, marriage asks us to look reality squarely in the face and reckon with the fact that we did not marry the person we thought we did. Each of us constructs an idealized image of the person we marry. The image is painted by our partner's eager efforts to put their best foot forward, but it takes root in the rich soil of our romantic fantasies. We want to see our partner at their best. We imagine, for example, that they would never become irritable or put on excess weight. Why? Because romance is fueled by feelings, and feelings are always fluid. Romantic love, by its very nature, is fleeting. Some believe the half-life of romantic love is about 3 months, after which you have only half the amount of romantic feelings you started out with. Others believe romantic love stays at a peak for 2 to 3 years before starting to fade. Whichever theory is correct, be assured that the enchantment of romance eventually and most certainly doesn't last. Mutual idealizing gives way to mutual disillusionment. After all, no human being can fulfill an idealized dream. Letdown is inevitable. So here's the good news. According to the same researchers, we are not saying couples need to lower their expectations. In fact, we cringe at the thought. Reasonable couples don't need to expect less in their relationship. In all likelihood, they need to aspire higher. Why? Because reasonable people get what they expect. If you have low expectations for marriage, your relationship will surely suffer. If you expect your spouse to treat you poorly, he or she will. Conversely, having reasonably high standards for your marriage increases the chances that your marriage will excel. And here's more good news. People love to say that 50% of marriages end in divorce and pretend as if the other 50% doesn't exist. That still means that millions of couples do not get divorced. Here's a theory. They say 50% of people are securely attached and 50% of people are insecurely attached. If you don't know attachment theory, there are a lot of really great channels on here that talk about attachment theory. In short, attachment theory states that we attach to our relationship partners the same way we attach to our parents and caregivers during childhood. Securely attached people are people who feel safe and trust their partner and themselves in relationships. Anxiously attached people, these are the people who are overly clingy and needy in relationships. Avoidantly attached people, these are the people who basically don't trust relationships, and many of us will call them emotionally unavailable, and a combination of both anxious and avoidant also exists. And here's the part where sometimes we realize that God's got a sense of humor. Anxious and clingy people and avoidant people who don't trust relationships are highly attracted to each other and commonly end up together. My second theory about the divorce rate is that many people go into marriage without having a foundation of what marriage is and isn't, what marriage can and can't do, and the difference between healthy relationship expectations and unhealthy expectations. So if you're only here for the answer as to why values matter more than income in a relationship, here's the answer. One of the sections of the SYMBIS assessment that I use is about finances, and it identifies money style, budget skills, financial fears, and debt. So let's talk about one aspect of that, and that's money style. So money style is about finding out if the person you're dating is a saver or a spender. The answer to that question is a value. Let's say you put on your list that he must make $150,000 a year. And let's say he does make $150,000 per year, but he's a spender. So money comes in and it goes right out the door just as fast. And let's say he has no budgeting skills and he has high debt. Now let's talk about two common scenarios. Both you and Mr. 150,000 are spenders. Both of you lack budgeting skills and both of you have high debt. So what kind of life can you imagine having? What kinds of conflicts might arise because of that? Or how about if Mr. 150K is a spender, but you are a saver with great budgeting skills and no debt? You'll just show him how to save and budget, right? Not so fast. Let's say Mr. 150K is a spender and his top values include autonomy and independence, and one of his fears is being controlled. Can you see how he might resent and resist from you teaching him how to better manage his money? Let's say Mr. 150K is a saver with excellent budgeting skills and no debt, and you're a spender. Sounds like a match made in heaven, right? Nope, not so fast. Let's say your love language is receiving gifts and elaborate romantic surprises. Can you see how tough conflicts can arise from that? Now compare that to Mr. 60K, who's a saver, has great budgeting skills, and no debt, and one of his love languages is giving gifts. Can you see how, in that one particular domain, he might be a better match for Mrs. 50K, who's also a saver with low debt and has a love language of receiving gifts? Okay, so there's the answer to why values matter more than income when it comes to happy and healthy relationships. So if you already got what you clicked on this video for, you can exit. But if you're interested in how other values, like living together before you get married and sex, also affect a happy and lasting relationship, keep watching. So let's start with, should you move in together before you get married? Most people would say yes. They see it as the best way to test out the relationship and increase their odds of doing well in marriage. Sounds logical, but here's what the research shows. Couples who live together before marriage, especially before an engagement, tend to be less satisfied with their marriages and more likely to divorce than couples who do not. Psychologist Meg Jay says that women tend to see moving in together as a step toward marriage, while some men see it as a way to stall marriage. So let's talk about some more values that are critical for you to discuss with your partner before getting married. So some of the aspects that the Symbis assessment goes over are things like compatibility in money methods, personalities, your fighting method, how you communicate, how you love, and what you desire most in a partner. So here's an example of a couple that took the Symbis assessment. So one of the partners that took the assessment has a romantic mindset and the other has a resolute mindset. So what does that mean? So researchers have found that there are 5 types of marriage mindsets, and here they are. So check and see which one fits you best. The first type of marriage mindset is called resolute. These people are purposeful, determined, and unwavering. This group makes up 22% of the population, prizes marriage, and holds tight to an unyielding determination to making it work. When it comes to marriage, they are dedicated to ensuring that it's for life. The second type of marriage mindset is the rational. They are logical, they have sound judgment, and they're realistic. This group makes up 23% of the population, and they take a more practical approach to marriage than most. They view this lifelong commitment with more caution than others. The third type of marriage mindset is called the romantic, and the romantic is inspired by the ideal of affection and love. This group makes up 19% of the population and brings a heavy dose of idealism to marriage. Romantics expect love to be lived out with unending passion and ongoing intimacy. Love for the romantic is a bit like a movie. It is adventurous, poetic, starry-eyed, and chivalrous. The fourth type is called the restless, and they are cavalier, in no hurry, and unsettled. This group makes up 22% of the population and isn't so sure about marriage, at least not for now. This group is dominated by males who aren't ready to settle down because they're busy exploring their options. From their perspective, the fewer responsibilities they take on, including marriage, the more fun they believe they'll have. And the fifth type of marriage mindset is called the reluctant, and they are resistant and unwilling. This group makes up 14% of the population, and they say that they are not the marrying kind. More than any other group, reluctants are cynical about marriage. In fact, it's the only segment to lack a desire to get married, probably because their own homes were examples of how not to do it. The 3 types of marriage mindsets that are most motivated to getting married are the resolute, the rational, and the romantic. So this assessment goes over a lot of aspects that are extremely important to a happy and healthy marriage, like individual well-being, gender role expectations, how you handle conflict, your personality style, your money style, your finances, and a lot more. It gives you a lot of really valuable information. And as I said, the Symbis assessment is not the only good assessment that's out there, but it is one of the best. So the big things that you really want to keep in mind when you are deciding whether or not you are ready for marriage, or if you want to get married at all, whether you're already in a relationship or if you are single and you just want to prepare and be ready, are your values, the values you desire for your partner to have, how you handle finances, whether you're a saver or spender, if you desire for your partner to be a saver or a spender, and of course, sex. A lot of people say that humans are not meant to be monogamous, that we're not wired to be monogamous. This is partly true, but it's not all the way true. So 3 to 5% of mammals are pair bonders. This means that they mate in pairs. This happens through neurotransmitters like oxytocin, vasopressin, and dopamine. Oxytocin is what they call the cuddle hormone. It's the hormone that makes you feel all cuddly and affectionate with another person. Dopamine is the pleasure hormone. Remember, though, that we get the best dopamine hits in anticipation of pleasure, not after we have pleasure. Vasopressin is also called the monogamy hormone, and males release it after having sex, and this drives the desire to protect and can also drive jealousy. So there was a study that they did with prairie voles or prairie moles, whatever you call them. And what they did was they had two prairie voles, and they gave one of them vasopressin, and he was super monogamous. And the other one, they didn't give it to him. So he was basically like, the more partners, the better. So it'll be interesting to know that if they ever study the levels of vasopressin in males to see if that is a determining factor in whether or not they desire monogamy or if they do not. So people tend to say that humans are not wired to be monogamous because, well, we're mammals. But humans are a little bit different. Humans pair bond because human offspring take a much longer time to mature than other mammals. So we are wired to raise our offspring together, and we get satisfaction from doing so. Another thing that's useful to know when we're talking about sex is called the Coolidge Effect. And the Coolidge Effect is a phenomenon where males want to mate with new females more than a female that they've already had sex with. This happens in females as well, but is more studied in males. The mating strategy behind this is the more females I mate with, the more offspring I will have. So here we are talking about two different mating strategies. The Coolidge Effect, which is going after as many new sexual partners as possible, and this is about increasing the likelihood that I will have offspring and the quantity of offspring I will have. And the second mating strategy is pair bonding, and this strategy is more about the quality of offspring I will have. So here we see two different mating strategies: quality of offspring versus quantity of offspring. So remember, dopamine is what motivates sexual behaviors. And without dopamine, we wouldn't pursue sex. And our God is a wise God who knew that if we didn't get pleasure from sex, we wouldn't pursue it. And, well, would the human species still exist? Dopamine is one of the many reasons why it is dangerous to tell women that men cheat because they don't look good enough anymore or because of something the woman isn't doing. And here's why. Dopamine hits come from the anticipation of pleasure and not the pleasure itself. So can you anticipate something you're certain you're going to get? Meaning, can you anticipate getting sex from someone you've already had sex with as much as someone you haven't had sex with yet? It's unlikely, because a driving factor of anticipation is uncertainty about how that will turn out. Dopamine works the same way with sex, food, drugs, anything we do to try and have pleasure. The same way that drug users will keep needing to chase a high they got the first time and do more doses or try different drugs is the same way that sex addiction works. So remember, the desire to have multiple sexual partners is about chasing a dopamine high. It is not about a person. So this is why I say that it is dangerous to tell women that men cheating or desiring multiple partners is about them not looking good enough or about something that they aren't doing. So if you desire a healthy, happy, and fulfilling relationship, figure out what your values are. If you need help figuring out how, you can always work with a relationship coach, or you can read the book made by the assessment creators called Saving Your Marriage Before It Starts. The book is written for couples who are already together, but if you want to get ahead of the game, you can definitely read the book if you are currently single. Now, as far as sex goes, you might be wondering, what the hell can I do about keeping my relationship happy if it's all driven by neurotransmitters and hormones that I have absolutely no control over? Well, there's a hack for that, but that's for a whole other video by itself. So remember, if you liked this video and if you found it to be helpful, like and subscribe, leave comments, and always remember to share the information with your friends and family. Thank you.